With a Snapdragon 8S Gen 4, a huge 6500 mAh of battery, 90 watts of fast charging, starts with a very affordable price. This Poco F7 didn't get the spotlight compared to the other two siblings, the F7 Pro and the F7 Ultra. No flashy launch and barely any coverage. So I call this the forgotten one. And after weeks of daily use, what surprised me wasn't what it lacked, but what it actually got right. Now, although this looks like a gaming phone, especially this limited edition silver color variant, with the vents and the Snapdragon logo at the top half. But the thing is that this is actually not the interior of the phone, it is just a design with a glass sheet over it. So it's trying to look like a gaming phone with the Nothing Phones flavor on it. It's almost like copy my homework but don't make it obvious. But jokes aside, surprisingly, for the very first time, I did not find a single article or a review that tells the exact protection that this has on the back glass, not even on Xiaomi's website. It is just a glass back with no wireless charging. And of course, more on the charging and the battery performance later on in this video. But the front glass though has the Corning Gorilla Glass 7i, which is good because now I can know how much or whether or not I should just toss my phone whenever I can. But yeah, the 7i glass seems to be the way to go for smartphones to really reduce the cost without sacrificing on the durability that much. But while I love this top layer of the gamer look on top, but when it comes to the bottom area, it is a very glossy finish, which means that this is a fingerprint magnet level Olympic gold. You touch it once and it remembers you forever. So yeah, keep that in mind. Now the size also feels very nice in hand when I use it daily, but it does have quite a weight to it, just over 215 grams, heavier than most other phones, and this is surely because of the size of the battery and of course the size of the phone itself, because it is the biggest screen among the other two siblings, the F7 Pro and even the F7 Ultra. Now speaking of the display, this has a 6.83-inch AMOLED 120Hz refresh rate and a peak brightness of 3200 nits, which is the same compared to the other siblings, so this also remains bright and clear under direct sunlight as well. Now I also really love the flat display that I've missed. Ever since switching from my Pura 80 Ultra to this felt like I was coming home to my wife's cooking, very comforting and also predictable as well. Now surely it is one of the nicest looking screens for the price. Then the included screen protector is also high in quality, surely nicer than others. Now, while on paper, this is slightly smaller than the iPhone 16 Pro Max or even the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, but the broadness of the phone makes this phone feel bigger compared to how it actually is, which means that this allows you to have a better smartphone content consumption, which was nice, sharp and very punchy. But the stereo speakers on this was just okay, not the best when it comes to the overall audio quality. Then second of all, this broader screen makes it nicer to game on, and more on my gaming test later on in this video. But let's first talk about the overall performance of this phone using it daily. Now this has the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4 with 12GB of RAM, which is the LPDDR5X RAM, and starts with a 256GB of UFS 4.1 storage. Now that itself is already a huge win for a phone within this price range compared to the likes of the Nothing Phone 3 from a chipset and a UFS storage version perspective. But I won't forgive the fact that the Nothing Phone 3 and this phone still uses USB version 2.0 on the port, but then again, for the price, that was totally fine by me. Now using the phone daily was really nice and fast and also smooth, but the phone does not shy away from performing heavy gaming as well, because I tested Genshin Impact on the Poco F7 and I managed to play the game on the highest graphic preset with the frame rate set to 60 FPS. Now everything from the texture quality to the environmental details has been also set to the max without any dips or any issues throughout my gameplay, and I was also quite surprised at how little heat was generated throughout my gameplay, even though when I was gaming for close to an hour. Then the battery dipped about 20% during my whole entire hour of gameplay, which was actually pretty decent. However, I was playing in a relatively cool environment, so your results might be slightly different depending on your surroundings. Now I also like the way how the sides of the phone felt when I was gaming, although it has a more flatter sides, not sharp which means that it doesn't even dig on your hands, and this makes for a very comfortable playing experience. And once again, the visuals were nice and bright too. So yeah, that would be for my gaming test. So this means that based on my daily usage, there were no overheating issues, but apparently the majority of the units in India have touched up to 44 degrees Celsius. Not sure why that is happening, but it is totally fine on my unit here in Malaysia. But with a performance like this, it means that it should have a bigger battery. So yes, Poco knew it. So this has a massive 6500 milliamps of silicon carbon battery with 90 watts of fast charging, where not only it is faster than most flagship phones, the charger also comes inside of the box, and it also supports reverse charging at 22.5 watts, quite a power bank like experience. But the screen time that I got was below than what I thought I would get though, as it was only about 6 hours plus at 18% battery left. So probably I would say the max that you would get is probably 7 hours. And the reason why I was not super impressed is because the Nothing Phone 3 mentioned earlier gave me about 10 hours of screen on time instead with the same processor though. So I expected a marathon, but this was more of a 10k run. But yeah, once again, as mentioned many times in this video, considering the price, I was willing to let that go. Oh, I almost forgot about the cameras. Now this is probably because there's just a dual camera setup, a main 50 megapixel and an 8 megapixel ultra-wide lens, which is not the most in year 2025, but yes, once again, the price justifies that. And before we go into the camera samples, I want to give a special shout out to how the camera layout looks, because it does give you some Poco F3 vibes, right? Now, starting from the ultra-wide photos, I expected it to be not the best because of how low the megapixel count was, but it was still decently good, with good dynamic range and no distortion at the edges. Now, the good news is there's no color shift between the ultra-wide and the main lenses as seen over here in the sample photos, which does look great. Now, in the app, you can go up to 2 times zoom, which is 52mm, where the quality was very well maintained. And that could be said for the 5 times or the 130mm too. But you can see the quality dropping at its max zoom or 10 times zoom or at 260mm. So my personal favorite is more of the 52mm or the 130mm because it had that very nice telephoto lens look overall. Then Poco devices have always been great when it comes to portrait mode for humans, and so was this with the 2 focal length of 26mm and 52mm. I was also very impressed with the portrait mode for objects, where it did a very good job even with more complicated shape like this red flower over here. Then selfie photos also looked amazing, as long as you have the light in front of you, where it had a great subject to background blur and it had a flawless edge detection. But once it is against the backlight, the skin tones can be a little overexposed but still lit pretty well. Then switching over to the night photos. Now FYI, there's no dedicated night mode on the camera, so it adapts to the scene. So because of this, the ultra-wide lenses require a lot of light at night to perform better, and while the main lenses at night did well, but I wouldn't go beyond the 2 times zoom of 52mm because the quality starts to degrade a little beyond that. Now once again, the portrait mode at night was truly amazing, both for humans on both focal length and also subjects too. Then the nighttime selfies was also surprisingly really good too. Then as for video recording, the ultra-wide lenses can only record up to 1080p, sad but totally expected because even the Poco F7 Ultra maxes out at 1080p for its ultra-wide lenses. So for the best quality, I would just use the main lenses, or I would say you should just use the 4K main lenses for recording. The 2 times video recording was just okay, but for God's sakes, please do not use the 6 times zoom on this, because not only you need to switch back to 1080p in order to do this, but you can imagine how the quality looks like over here. Now while the front video stabilization was nice, but the dynamic range is not that great, with the skies being overexposed instead of showing the clouds. Videos at night were noisier on the ultra-wide as expected because of the 1080p resolution and the sensor size. So once again, you're better off using just the main lenses all the way for video. Stabilization wise, the ultra-wide lenses were jittery at night, where even the main lenses had some level of jitters too. So just stick with that and don't even try to use the 2 times or even the 6 times zoom for a walking type of shots. Then the front cameras were just decent in terms of the quality and the stabilization as well. And here is a quick vlogging test to hear how does the audio recording sound when it comes to a vlogging situation. Alright, this is a vlogging test using the front camera. The dynamic range for video is not as good as for photos because of the image processing on Poco devices has always been great, and probably is because of the fact that it still records up until 1080p instead of 4K. But this is a vlogging test using the front camera for you to hear how the audio recording is. So test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2, Let me know what you guys think of the audio recording for a vlogging situation like this in the comment section below. Now, if you guys are enjoying this video so far, do give this video a nice big thumbs up to tell YouTube that this video was good. You know, YouTube and YouTube gods, aka the algorithm. And of course, a subscription would be lovely too. So thank you, and thank you very much in advance. Then as for the software part, this comes with HyperOS version 2 based on Android 15 with 4 years of OS updates and 6 years of security updates. Now the software overall was really snappy and very responsive. And it also has the very nicely natural and smooth all around the UI. And this is because HyperOS has come a long way from using the phone daily to just doing simple tasks like having to move a bunch of apps to the home screen has never been easier. And I also love how the default keyboard is even nicer to type on compared to other default keyboards out there. Almost make me want to start texting people again. But it does come with bloatware. But like I said every time, I don't have a problem with that since it does make the phone more affordable. Then it also comes with Google's Gemini and all of the Gemini related features over here like Circle to Search and Gemini Live, and also including some dedicated AI features that you can see within the photo editor in the photo gallery, where there is a dedicated tab for AI for enhance, expand, the usual erase, remove reflection, changing the sky, and based on my test, they do work very well indeed. So you can pick and choose on which gives you the best results and use them accordingly. Now, if you want a written version of everything mentioned in this video, we do have one at our website at www.adamlobo.tv. Links to the website will be down below, where we also have some daily tech news over there too. Now, remember I started this video comparing both the Poco F7 Pro or even the Poco F7 Ultra, which does brings almost what they both offer, but with just enough corners cut. So would I recommend this phone? Absolutely. But if you have the money for the Poco F7 Ultra, check out my in-depth review of that on the screen right now.